cool. So, first of all, man, the NFL season has begun. Which is crazy because I feel like when the NFL season starts, time starts to go by really fast. I think the days are shorter, and then we're gonna look up and it's gonna be like Thanksgiving. It's like, man, it's Thanksgiving already. It's cold outside. Then it's gonna be Christmas. Then it's gonna be Super Bowl. But
It's gonna be basketball and strictly basketball.
It's gonna be March Madness.
Yeah.
But I love it. I'm glad. So let me start out with Corey. I'm gonna ask Corey this. All right, what's some of your takeaways from week one?
I mean, I try to not overreact to anything that comes out of week one because, as I've said in the past, like there's always one or two games that at the end of the season, you look back on and wonder what the hell happened. For example, a couple years ago, Colts lost to the Jaguars, and then Jacksonville didn't win another game the rest of the year. So it's you can't overreact. But as we were kind of talking a little bit before people hopped on, and as Joe kind of pointed out, I think that the biggest thing that stands out to me is just the sloppy play from teams across the board. And I think dropping a preseason game, cutting back on the number of practice, getting rid of 2-a-days, cutting back on off-season workouts, all of it has an impact on the quality of play come week one of the NFL season. Like, yes, they're professional athletes, but you still got to get those reps in. And I think it's been an issue the last few years. And as practice time has been cut back, I think it's only gotten a little bit worse, and it's taking teams a few weeks into the year to really find their footing.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Craig. What were your takeaways from week one?
Kind of the same thing as Corey. Like I don't overreact to just 1 week, and like it is the first week of the season. So, saw what happened to Green Bay last year when they got blown out by the Saints. They scored like 3 points, but and they got blown out again in week one here. So and last year they went 13-4. So I'm not going to take a lot of this stuff into like the grand scheme of things, how things are going to end at the end of the season. I know that like there were a lot of upsets just based off of like we were looking at just point spreads before the game started. A lot of missed field goals. Some teams were sloppy. Some teams were like the Chiefs. Some they were on point. So it's just to me it's just typical NFL. Like it's any given Sunday thing. Like anybody can be beat. It is what it is. Like I come to just expect this is going to be an ongoing thing as long as the NFL is around. Which is to me this is what makes the NFL fun to watch. Because you just never know. A team could be favored by 10 points or 15 points, and then they lose because who knows what's going to happen. Yeah. So, I'm looking forward to the rest of the season, and hopefully it'll be like I would assume that as the season goes along, teams get more comfortable. It's not as sloppy anymore. Teams get the reps. Obviously going to have injuries like we had this past week. Especially the like key guys and other guys have to step up. So I'm looking forward to see who steps up, like for Keenan Allen, for example, stuff like that. So it makes it fun, makes it interesting to watch, get to see new guys, and just looking forward to a great season.
All right, Mo, what were your takeaways, Mo?
The low scoring, sloppy pay. I wasn't really surprised by it, but what they're going on with the preseason, how they do preseason. But it still was a little off for me. Two teams that threw me off. And I get that it's preseason. I get that it's first game of the season. I get it. But Arizona and Green Bay threw me off. And no disrespect, Andy Reid, shout out to Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes. But for the money you've invested into players on that team, the money you invested to that quarterback and to that coach, and they were totally outplayed. Like, totally, you would have thought Tyreek Hill was still on that field, and some of the pieces were still on that field. That was embarrassing. Like, that was just totally old school woodshed butt whipping. And I think that kind of alarmed me out of every team. That kind of alarmed me. I know it's Kansas City. People are like, well, it was Kansas City. I'm sorry for the money you put out and the expectations. That was just embarrassing. That was just ugly. Like, that was crazy. Green Bay. Let me say this, and Aaron Rodgers could be one of the top 5 of all time, and I get it. It's week 1, but if they don't, if that running game and that defense don't improve, they won't make the playoffs. That receiving core is not going to be something that's going to carry them like past years that Aaron Rodgers carries them. They're going to have to get that running game and that defense together, or they won't make the playoffs. They won't make it. Like the NFC, looking at the NFC right now, it's too strong for them to make the playoffs looking like that. And I understand it's week 1, but looking like that right now with what the NFC looking stacked up to be, they won't make the playoffs.
Oh, all right, Mo. I got you. I'm glad you didn't fire any coaches.
No. I ain't gonna go there yet.
Yeah,
I ain't gonna go there.
Mo rules with the Iron Fist guy.
Now listen. Hey,
I'm telling you, man. If I was a coach and you a GM, man, I'll be.
Hey, listen. We went through the 2 picks and we fell behind. I said, man. Hey, Robert Bird, that should get real.
There you go, man. I think Mo, I get it, right? I get it. I enjoyed this week of football. I think that it's sometimes I do agree with it was sloppy. A lot of teams had penalties. Broncos had a lot of penalties. The Rams look bad. You know, some teams, because Craig's right. This is why I love the NFL. You got a Bears versus 49ers. But I don't know. Soldier Field is terrible. Y'all got to fix that, guys. Y'all got to fix that, man. Your NFL team field is crazy. So I think the NFL first season was great. It was everything that I hoped and wished for, man. It gave me what it always do. It just feels a little different this season. Maybe because of there's always storylines to tell and always stuff to talk about, and I'm really looking forward to it. That's all I gotta say, man. I'm pretty excited that we're here. You know what I'm saying? And then we get to talk about the who you got every week. You know, we get to see what all this training camp and all these stories and how people fit in. We could finally see, you know, how it is in real life. Like, it's like the production of a movie film, right? It goes from writing to the contracts, to training camp, which is the producing of it. Preseason is kind of like post-production, and then the NFL season is the movie. And it's excellent every time, and that's how I think it is. That's how I look at it as. And I love it. I can't wait. So, Craig, let me start off with you, man. Dak Prescott out 6 to 8 weeks. How impactful is this for the Cowboys, man?
It's very impactful. Like, anytime you lose a starting quarterback, if you don't have a reliable backup, which a lot of teams have decent backups, but they're not guys that I would think be like NFL starting type quarterbacks, or else they would probably be the starter. So, you know, it's going to be tough. They already have issues with the offensive line. They already have issues with the wide receivers. The running back core, you know, they have good running backs, but they haven't been producing, especially Zeke over the last couple of seasons. And the defense is solid. Defense is pretty good, but the offensive side,
yeah,
you know, this is where this is why you pay Dak Prescott the money that he got paid. Like, this is what you have him for. And with him out, and now you're going back to Cooper Rush, who, when he played, was it last year? No, 2 years ago. He's pretty solid. He's pretty decent, but he's not Dak Prescott. Like he's not the starter. So the only saving grace to me is they have an easy schedule. Like I know that he's not going on the IR, and they're saying he could come back in a couple of weeks, come back sooner versus the 6 to 8 weeks that was originally said.
I think Jerry Jones said 4. I think.
Yeah, I mean, even still, like if he comes back in 4 weeks, obviously that's even better. But you don't want to rush him back to make something even worse. But this, I mean, they got at least until say he's out 8 weeks or whatever it is, which is going to pretty much push him until after the bye week. So, I mean, other than maybe they got at the Rams and at the Eagles, and then they're home this week to the Bengals, who are in the same position as they are at 0-1. They're at the Rams and at the Eagles are the 2 toughest games on the schedule. So I think if they can possibly go, even if Dak Prescott doesn't come back, they can go 4-4. I think that's pretty good. Good.
Do you think they can?
I think they can. I mean, they got the Commanders, so I think they can beat. But the Commanders are going to be tough. Obviously, that's at Dallas. They got the Lions and the Bears at home as well. They got the Bengals at home. Just like I said, just come off a loss. Mm-hmm. At the Giants, and they can beat the Giants. And then at the Rams and at the Eagles. Like I think if they can come out of this with 4 wins and 4-4, head into the bye week, then they got the Packers after the bye week. But I mean, that'll give Dak another week of trying to recover. That's to me, that's like the best case scenario. I would assume maybe 5-3 be the best, even a better case, but I don't really see that.
Yeah.
But I think they can go 4-4. I think they'll be in striking distance of trying to make a playoff run later on for the rest of the season, second half for them. But obviously without Dak Prescott, it's gonna be tough. Maybe they can rely on the run game a little bit more. Maybe Gallup comes back and he's kind of questionable this week. Maybe he gives them another receiver they can throw the ball to. But man, without Dak Prescott, it's gonna be tough. Is this what it is?
Mo, Dak Prescott, he's out 6 to 8 weeks, maybe 4.
I think I think it's huge. I mean, they look bad and rough without it, because some can argue this, and I understand pass rush too, but let's be honest here, those receivers look bad, and Tampa Bay is not a top 10 secondary. Overall, Tampa Bay is not a game buster secondary, and receivers couldn't get open. It wasn't just that. Receivers struggled to get open. It just totally looked bad. And when you already have a struggling run game, and then receivers who can't get open, and then now you talk about Cooper Rush, like but like Craig said, the saving grace is their schedule. But let me just say this. Let me come out and say this right now. We lose the Cooper. I know one player don't make no team, but we lose the Cooper Rush, I got a problem. I'm not saying firing. I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna be comfortable. I got a huge problem. I got a problem. Because y'all know how I feel. I think we should beat Detroit and be 2-0. Yeah. And I feel like everything else is stressful. But now with Dak hurt, if we lose to some Cooper Rush, I got a problem with that, man. I got a huge problem with that, man. Like, so, but I think if they can, play 500 balls till Dak gets back, I mean, they got to still a shot to make the playoffs, because once again, we know Philly's inconsistent. We know Washington's inconsistent. Love my team, but let's just be real. We inconsistent. We got to see how the rest of the NFC plays out. I mean, San Francisco didn't look too good, week 1. Yeah. So, in hindsight, Green Bay didn't look good. So we got to look at, even New Orleans. I mean, you ain't look good. You had to come back down from 15 to Atlanta. So, I mean, that was, so let's see how this plays out. But right now, it doesn't look good.
Okay. I'm not just saying this because I'm a Commanders fan, but I love saying this. The Cowboys are eliminated from the playoffs. We're just going to be real with that. Dak Prescott is probably the second best player on the team. You can say Michael Parsons is the first. Dak's the second. That's fair, right? Second best player on the team. We've seen what this team looks like without Dak. They don't have Amari Cooper. They don't have Michael Gallup. Their receivers look bad. Their offense looked bad before Dak was gone. And Craig, I hope. I mean, I would hope that they go 4-4, but I don't think they go 4-4. I think they lose to the Lions. I don't think they win maybe 1 or 2 games. I don't think they look that good as a football team.
They
And
did.
I would like, I just think Dak is that important. Like I heard who said this? Shout out to Colin Cowherd. He said that this is the reason why good teams provide depth. If the Cowboys had depth, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. We'd be like, all right, they're hurt, but we could see them surviving this. They don't have any depth. If they had Amari Cooper, right? If their O-line was good, their O-line isn't even good. And they got injuries on that front. So that's the only issue. It's just like before Dak went down, I didn't have them going to the playoffs anyway. Now I don't, because I just don't see whether they don't have a good team because of they have a lack of depth. So I think they're unfortunately eliminated. Not unfortunately, they're eliminated from the playoffs, and I think they're going to look bad. I think they're going to look bad, and I don't think Mike McCarthy's a good coach. He can't survive this. He's not Harbaugh. And then he has what's his name? Head coach for the Falcons. Their defensive coordinator right behind him, who's probably going to get the head coaching job for Dallas Cowboys next year if Sean Payton doesn't want it. So I think this is unfortunately Mike McCarthy is doomed without Dak. Because so that's just me. I think they're done. I think they're going to be really bad. What do you think, Corey?
As Craig kind of touched on there, any team is going to struggle when your starting quarterback goes down. I mean, if your team doesn't miss a beat, then there should be some questions about your starting quarterback. But Dallas already was putting a lot more on Dak Prescott's shoulders this year. Trading Amari Cooper, not really going out and making a big splash, like bringing in somebody else to try to fill that void. Yeah. So when you start to lose that person, how do you fill that void? They let Andy Dalton walk, which felt like a mistake for a team that talked about having Super Bowl aspirations. If their defense could build on its success last year, I think that they could make a run in the NFC.
You know what the crazy thing is, Corey? Not let me cut you off. If they had Andy Dalton, Craig, then I would be like, I could see that. I could see that.
He could keep them afloat.
But they don't.
I mean, it's like Colts Twitter in this preseason was talking about, the Colts should cut Nick Foles and go with Sam Ehlinger as the backup because he looked good in the preseason. And this is exactly why they didn't do that. Because if you're a team that has legitimate aspirations for a season, you want a guy that you can trust. Yes, it's not going to be a guy that you're comfortable going out and starting 17 games.
Yes.
Right. But if he can go out there and start a couple of games for you and you're not going to get run off the field, that's what you're asking for out of a backup. That's what Andy Dalton could have provided. And I have no idea why Dallas didn't bring in somebody.
Back. I agree. I definitely agree.
And it's too late now.
Yeah. I definitely agree with Andy Dalton. If they had Andy Dalton, I'd be like, all right, they would probably survive. I believe they had Andy Dalton, Craig, they would be 5-4. I totally believe that. Or even Nick Foles. Just I just think they need a quality backup. I just don't think Cooper Rush with that O-line and not having receiving help, that's a lot they're putting on Dak. And I get it, they're paying him $40 million, but like you got to be honest. Every team that was representing the Super Bowl last year, every team that went deep into the playoffs, they had multiple receivers.
Right. Yeah.
They have. If you want to go to the Super Bowl or beyond, you got to have receiver depth. Look at Tampa. Look. That's why I don't think Green Bay, unfortunately, is going to go far because they're receivers. Look at Minnesota. Everybody has Minnesota going. Listen, I think Colin Cowherd and Bo were on this. He got them, being first seed in the NFC.
Then the messed up part is Aaron Rodgers already putting them down, already making negative comments after the game. This ain't a group where you got Devonte Adams and you got whatever. Like, this is a young group, and you already putting them down after week one, already saying, and this is the second time he said this. He came out and said, it looks like we don't know what we're doing. Like, the receivers don't know what they're doing. I'm like, that's a predicament of coaches, but that's on the coach. But is that coach going to really check Aaron Rodgers? Is that organization really going to say something to Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, that's crazy because it's their young receivers, and Green Bay knew this. Right, Aaron Rodgers knew Devontae was out, he knew Devontae asked for a trade. That came out. The organization knew. They knew. They waited for a receiver. Now, those receivers could be good, but they both are small school receivers. So it's not like a Jalen Waddle or Jamar Chase that, or CeeDee Lamb that played, for one of those big schools. They're coming from very small conferences and schools. Not saying that they're too big, but this is you talk about Aaron Rodgers throwing you passes and you're going against the Minnesota Vikings on the road.
Yeah. But I mean, for the money they put in that defense, though, that defense looked terrible. Like, I understand Jordan Jefferson a dog, but he was looking like wide open. Like, it was almost like, are you gonna cover him? Like, you gotta even know what y'all doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right. So Mo, let me ask you this: 49ers lost to the Bears with Jimmy G being the backup. How long are you giving Trey Lance a start? How long, Mo, GM, was giving Trey Lance a start? How long? Don't say next game, Mo.
Nah, I ain't gonna say that. I ain't gonna say that. Because of the NFC, NFL period, but just looking at the landscape in the NFC, you can't give them 8 games. You can't give them half the season.
So how many games did you give them?
I say
how many games you give them and why? Why 6 games?
I say, all right, and I'm saying that only based off this first game. Let me say that.
Okay.
I'm basing this off what I saw the first game and how bad they looked offensively against the Chicago Bears team who is that defense really even going to be top 15 this year? Like, is that defense really even going to be a top 15 defense? Like, you still want to play the Rams twice. You still got other teams you have to play, like, and that's how you looked against a team that's probably going to be the worst defense you probably going to see all season, maybe. Like, that's what I'm saying, 6 games. I think the 4, but it's probably not coming out yet, but I guarantee it was some side conversations amongst the players about, amongst them, like, hold up, man. Like, hold up. He's the future. Like, we y'all treated Jimmy G like this for this. Like, it's some rumblings probably going on already. It's probably not going to surface. It's probably not loud yet, but I guarantee you some side conversations going on.
Damn, man.
But I'm basing this on. I'm only basing it on his week 1 performance 6 weeks. I think organization wise, after you, especially the stance they played this whole offseason, you have to give them more than 6 games. But at the same time, if you're going to keep Jimmy G in that room, I feel like you owe it to the vets and you owe it to a team who went to the NFC Championship game and probably should have won that game last year. You owe it to them to say, oh, we are still trying to win. You know what I'm saying? You can't sit there and say, oh, we cool with just developing him and taking the season off or just letting it be what it's going to be. Like, I don't think that's cool.
Yeah. Let me address this real quick. The elephant in the room, what I think it is. If you're going to bring Jimmy G back, you should have just started him for 1 more season. If you don't believe in this kid, I'm just a big believer of giving somebody a full opportunity, right? It's not even that you just drafted him, but if you drafted him with 3 high picks and you go into next season in OTAs and you're like, all right, look, Jimmy's coming back, he's our starter. I'm okay with that. Trey's going to sit another year. I'm cool with that, right? Because now you're saying that he's not ready. It's tough, especially for a young quarterback, when you say he's a starter, then you bring Jimmy G back, and then you lose, and then you're gonna have to hear players talk, which I get. But if Jimmy G's not there, there's no conversations being had. Right? Especially if in practice, because players see it. So if I'm John Lynch, I know this is probably not a popular opinion, but regardless of week 1, I'm giving Trey Lance a full year. I gotta see. I have to see. I gave him this opportunity. I have to see. I can't give him 6 games. If you give him 6 games and you switch out Jimmy G, those 3 picks are done. His confidence is shattered. And some people are like, oh, I know people like, put your big boy pants on and it's the NFL. That's cool, but you're not an NFL starting quarterback. This kid was blessed to be drafted. Confidence is everything in life, whether you're a server. Corey will tell you, waiting on tables, you got to have confidence. If you don't have confidence, you're not making any money. You have to have confidence, and you have to have people to support you, man. So I just think that if it's up to me, he's getting a full year. Go hard.
I'm not arguing. I'm not arguing with that, Jay. I get that, but I'm saying I think it's like you said, the catch-22 is keeping Jimmy G there, and because you kept Jimmy G there, it's a fine line right there with the locker room, because you still, especially with if the 49ers didn't make the playoffs last year and made this decision to keep Jimmy G, that'd be different. But when you went to the NFC Championship game last year and barely lost, and you keep that quarterback there, and you're struggling, it's a fine line. But I truly understand your point. But it's a fine line. They shouldn't have kept Jimmy G, because now you've kind of just created a kind of circus now.
All right,
especially if this
let's
kid
not
struggles.
forget that
go ahead,
San Francisco didn't want Garoppolo there. The reason he's still there is because I would say they didn't want to own up to how badly they mishandled that situation, because they got greedy. They asked for too much. Teams balked at it, went elsewhere, made their moves, and then San Francisco was just left looking around like the John Travolta meme from Pulp Fiction. There's nobody left to trade him to. And they weren't going to cut him, because then that would be just acknowledging how bad you screwed up. So I think the fact that Garoppolo's on the roster isn't a knock or saying anything about Trey Lance, because it seemed very clear. Well, it was very clear. They said that they were going to work with Garoppolo to find a trading partner for him. It's San Francisco front office screwed up, and I kind of think they're doubling down on that screw up by keeping Garoppolo instead of just cutting him and letting him go wherever. I'm with you, James. You give him the full season. Like, you spent a ton of draft capital to get him. You let him sit for a year. You were ready to move on Garoppolo, so internally you had to think he was ready to take the reins.
Yeah.
And now you got to see what you got.
Yeah.
I mean, and you can't week 1, yes, they lost to a Bears team that I will be surprised if they win 5 games on the year. But it was a monsoon out there on a field that is typically regarded as being one of the worst fields in the NFL.
Oh, that's crazy.
And it's week 1 where a lot of teams struggled. Like, if the struggles continue, you have to write it, because as you said, Jen, you bench them and you're just thrown in the towel.
Yeah. Craig, what do you think, Craig? GM 49ers. How long you giving them, Craig? I know you for a second now, so I know your rule. How long you giving Trey Lance?
I mean, this is his first year as a starter, so I mean, obviously, I will give him a longer leash than 6 games. It depends on it would depend on what their record is at the bye week. I would, for me personally. That means they have 8 games until their bye week. So if they're like 2-6, I mean, they're not gonna make the playoffs. I mean, you might as well just go ahead and keep them out there or whatever it is. So I mean, maybe at that point, then again, it might, it's like y'all say, you put all this capital into him or put all these draft picks for him, and now he has to go out there and he has to do something. So I understand that. So I probably would give him the whole season. At minimum or at worst, I would give him until the bye week.
Yeah.
Their bye week is 9. But I mean, like you put a lot of stock into this guy. They didn't have George Kittle in the first game. They lost their top running back, who's always seems to be hurt. Like Corey was saying, the conditions were horrible. So it wasn't a lot of high passes out there. Wasn't a lot of passes in general out there really completed. So you had that going on, and it's just week 1. So I think it's going to get better for him as the season goes along. I think as he gets more comfortable with the offense, when he gets Kittle back, when he can get Debo involved, when they figure out the running game, now they have Wilson as a starting back now. So, and he can run with the ball as well. So once they get everything like that figured out, they get the offense straight. I think they'll be a good team. I think they'll be a solid team. Obviously, the defense and everything like that has to gel. The offense with Trey back there instead of Jimmy Garoppolo has to gel. Jimmy Garoppolo definitely will serve as a really good backup and a really good. I mean, if he wants to be a mentor or help him out or something like that, I don't know what his situation is with that, but he could definitely be somebody like that that Trey Lance could lean on, especially during tough times like the first game of the season. Where majority of people thought they were favored, and a lot of people thought they were going to win. But it's just 1 week. Next week they got Seattle. Same thing with Seattle. If nobody thought Seattle was going to win, they won. So it's just growing pains. It's growing pains, and it's the early first week of the season. It's basically his first start. So it's unfortunate that Jimmy Garoppolo is there. So now you got people talking, how long is this leash for Trey Lance, and when are they going to pull it? If they start 0-2, now he definitely has to start. Whatever it is, I've been hearing. So. It's unfortunate that Lance
that's so crazy.
Garoppolo's there because we have this distraction now.
That's crazy, Craig. They go 0-2. People are going to start.
Say that though.
I think so because they're going to lose the two.
Crazy.
They lost the 2 teams that they should have beat: Seattle and Chicago. After that, it gets tough because they got the Rams.
That's crazy.
And they got the Rams, and they got Denver.
But they got Denver, then they Rams. So
it's a must win.
Because if you potentially start 0-4, you know the 5 pick that's going to be right there with Garoppolo still there.
Right.
And I mean, I get it. It's not fair to the kid. I get it, but do you know the 5 pick that's going to be there if he's 0-4? If they start 0-4, man, that's going to be bad.
I think even if they start 1-3, like if they win Seattle, but then they lose at Denver and then home to the Rams,
there's going to be a call. Even if Jimmy G would have went 1-3, it's
right.
The game against Carolina becomes a huge must win at that point. So
damn, good point. All right, so Lamar Jackson gave the team till Friday. He didn't sign a deal, but he said he's going to play the season, which I knew he was going to do anyway. That's how Lamar's made up. Some guys are just like that, where they're like, "Listen, contract dispute. I'm coming to training camp, go through walkthroughs." Not practice, but I'm going to play the season. I've seen that multiple times. I've also seen players, Le'Veon Bell that said, "I'm not playing." Seen players sit out. Le'Veon sat out, So that's the only time I think I've seen it. I don't think an NFL player has done it since. Have they? I don't think so, right? Was Le'Veon the only one? Just sit out the whole year?
Yeah, it's out the whole year. I'm trying to think.
Antonio Brown? Or was Antonio Brown suspended or something?
Antonio got suspended.
Yeah, I don't think he sat out because of money. I don't think.
Nah. Remember, he went to the Raiders, and then he started getting all those charges and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Antonio Brown would have did that for a contract. Is Le'Veon the only one?
What one I can think of? Typically, I think guys come back.
Yeah.
I've
seen people wait till what, 5-6 games in? 5-6 games in. I've seen that. But Le'Veon was like, "I'm not playing at all." Like, damn. But anyway, the details of his contract was 6-year, $290 million with 160 to 180 guaranteed. So Lamar bet on himself. Was it a good decision to bet on himself? I think it was, because, and I think they're going to stay healthy. I think they're one of the best teams in the AFC. I did pick them to go to the Super Bowl, but if they go to the Super Bowl, he's going to get a guaranteed $250 million contract. If they win a Super Bowl, he might get more. Because at that point, you're talking about he has a Super Bowl, a unanimous MVP. They'll probably go to the Pro Bowl this year. Jeez, man, that's tough. You know, so I think because Deshaun Watson got guaranteed money, but here's the thing. Russell Wilson didn't get fully guaranteed. Kyler Murray didn't get fully guaranteed. So the Ravens are like, wait a minute, we're going to offer you more guaranteed money than Russell Wilson and Kyler Murray got. And it's going to be a bigger contract. And he turned it down. I think he was right. I'm never going to say nobody is wrong for betting on himself. I think he was right. I would have did the same thing. I'm not a fan of the whole 6 year. I'm trying to sign like a Josh Allen, Kirk Cousins type of deal, like 3 years, 4 years. We could talk about it, you know. Or if you want to win, right, you could do what Patrick Mahomes did. Like, you know, people are like, man, I think he's the ninth paid right now, but he signed for $500 million. So, I mean, if, you know, people knock Patrick Mahomes, but they didn't knock Brady, which is weird because that's what Brady always did. So, I mean, he's going to be getting $45 million a year. I think that's a pretty good salary. So I think you did right. The caveat is if he gets hurt, do the Ravens bring him back? I think they have to. So I think he has all of the chips. And if he wins, even if he wins one playoff game, if they go to the playoffs and he wins one playoff game, God forbid 2 playoff games, and he has a best statistical season of his career, they're going to have to pay him. They're going to have to pay him. So, you know, I think it was smart. Corey, what do you think? You think he made a good decision, Lamar?
I do, yeah. You know, kudos to Lamar for doing it. Like, I kind of get Baltimore's stance. They're hoping to avoid like Houston scenario where they gave Brock Osweiler a crap ton of money, then had to give up a second round pick to get somebody to take his contract.
That was crazy.
But that's insane because we've seen Lamar play. Look, I'm sure teams are trying to treat Deshaun Watson's guaranteed deal like teams tried to treat, or like teams did treat Hopkins' deal in Arizona for wide receivers. So, that's an outlier. That was an absurd deal. The team never should have done it. And they didn't treat it like it reset the market.
Yeah.
But we should keep in mind that this past offseason,
it did.
Those teams caved when they wanted wide receivers.
Yep, it did reset it.
History has shown in both Washington and Dallas that when you don't pay your quarterback, you play this game, you go down the franchise tag route, that at the end of the day, you still end up paying that guy, but you end up paying him a lot more.
They should have paid Dak when Jared Goff got paid and Carson Wentz, and we should have paid Kirk Cousins. We would still have Kirk Cousins. You can talk about Kirk Cousins all you want, but he's a decent starting quarterback.
He is
been better than anything we've had.
14, top 12 starting quarterback. And the NFL notably is the only 3 of the major sports that doesn't do guaranteed contracts.
Yep.
As a quarterback, I do not blame Lamar for pushing for one, especially with the style of offense that Baltimore runs for him, where they put him in harm's way more running the football. He's prone to take more hits.
Man.
I go get your money while you can. You know, he's a unique talent. I think he's a lot better passer than what he's ever been given credit for. And I think if an offense was designed to put him in situations to throw the ball more, I think it would play out. I also think that it'd help if Baltimore ever got him some receivers, but I'm all on board with what Lamar's doing, and I can guarantee you if the Ravens don't want to pay him this offseason, somebody would.
Yeah. Craig, what you think? You think Lamar betting on himself's good?
I think it's good, but I mean, obviously you have risk involved, especially without having a guy to negotiate it for you. He doesn't have a what you call it? Damn, what's it called? Agent. Damn.
Yeah.
He doesn't have an agent to negotiate his deals. But he's doing everything on his own, and he didn't like the terms of it, what he saw. So it is what it is. Like he said, he's going to cut off negotiations at a certain time. He stopped talking about it. He doesn't have to worry about that anymore. There's no need to talk about it until the end of the season, basically.
Yeah.
So there shouldn't be any questions from reporters about this or anything like that. There should be no distraction. But if I was Lamar, I wouldn't have played at all. I'm not playing this year without a contract.
Ooh, you're pulling out your cojones.
I wouldn't have played. I just think that he deserves a contract.
Jeez.
I understand that he got offered a substantial amount.
Yeah.
But this guy's a former MVP. Like he's the quarterback there. I mean, I guess they have Huntley, who's okay, but he's not Lamar Jackson.
So you're going hard.
I would have probably sat out if I was him. I mean, I understand that he.
How long would you set out? What's it? 6 games? The
whole season.
You would have went hard.
There's no point. What's the point of playing if you're not going to get a contract that he wants to get a contract that he deserves? I'm just saying, like, you're going to go out there and you're going to risk yourself, and you don't have a contract right now. And those, like Corey was saying, the style that he plays, the style that Baltimore likes to run, style of offense Baltimore likes to run. It's he can take any type of hit and he's done. Like he's not like Cam Newton big. So I mean he's
and it wore down Cam Newton.
He's fast. And you saw what happened in Cam Newton. I mean, obviously he was a little bit older, and he's been through so many more hits, and he was always taking punishment, but he got hurt, and it kind of cost him his career for the most part. So I don't want to see that happen to Lamar, but I just thought that maybe he should have played a little bit hard. I mean, I guess he did play hard, but I mean he hardball, but he could have went out there and played hardball and try to say, okay, I'm going to sit out. I don't feel comfortable. I didn't get my contract. I don't want to risk my health, risk my anything like that. Eventually, I would assume Baltimore would have caved because they have a playoff team. They have playoff aspirations, Super Bowl aspirations. They got a really good defense. Only they really don't have is wide receivers. So, like Corey was saying, if Baltimore doesn't pay him, somebody's going to pay him. I mean, I would assume that if they don't pay him next year, they're going to franchise tag him. So, I mean, you know how that goes. I'm not a fan of the franchise tag, but it is what it is. If they just decide, we're not going to pay you or whatever it is, he gets hurt and they don't want to pay him and they want to just go with Huntley or go with some other free agent, somebody's going to pay him. I mean, I would be happy if he came to the Ravens. I mean, the Panthers. I mean, I know a lot of teams would love to have Lamar Jackson on their team. So, like I said, I would have sat out at least as long as the negotiations. I would have probably, if they wanted to talk about it after starting out 2-3, 2-4. Okay, cool. We can talk about it.
Yeah.
We can go from there. So, but like I said, I do like him betting on himself. If he feels like he wants to go out there and he wants to play and then push all the chips in and say, I'm going to bet on myself. I'm going to do everything I can. And then after the season's over, I'm going to show you that you guys deserve to give me whatever it is, fully guaranteed contract. Then cool.
Yeah, man. That, I was listening to a couple. That's what Rob Parker said. Rob Parker was like, I wouldn't show up to the game. I was like, golly, I mean, I understand it, but here's what we do know. He would take Craig's stance, and I agree with it. Like if, you're going to play, you're going to play, you're not. So I do agree with this, though. Both Corey and Craig, whatever Lamar signs is going to impact Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert. Because if Lamar signs a guaranteed contract, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert are signing guaranteed contracts. I'm telling you that right now. Lamar can kind of change. Well, it started with Kirk Cousins. He has guaranteed money. Then I think Aaron Rodgers signed a similar guaranteed contract. And then, Russell Wilson and Kyle Murray kind of took the traditional route. Deshaun got the guaranteed. I think if Lamar gets guaranteed, I could see Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert signing for guaranteed money. I could see that. I could see it. And then now it's going to change the free agency in NFL. Because then just like Corey said with the wide receivers, it's gonna be, oh, we're not paying wide receiver $27 million. Couple years later, it's like, well, that cost $27 million is a Terry McLaurin or DK Metcalf. We're not even talking about Tyreek Hill or somebody who could really take the top off. So if Lamar signs a guaranteed, a couple years from now, we're going to talk about other positions getting guarantees because it's going to trickle, trickle down effect. It's going to set the tone. You know what I'm saying? Which is cool. All right. So I decided to do this. I think we should do it quarterly, right? So after 4 games, this is week 1. We're gonna see how everybody teams. Just if you want to rant, you can rant. Just what's your just thoughts of your team performance, and then we'll check back. After week 4, and then it'll be week 8. Then it'll be week 12. Just so it's not an every week thing, but this is the first week. So I'm gonna start off with Corey. What's your thoughts of? I didn't know your tagline was "Go Horse." By the way, I looked it up.
Oh yeah, has been for it used to be Go Horse.
Go Blue.
More recently, it is they've done For the Shoot.
Oh, For the Shoot. That was the other one. Okay. Yeah. I didn't look up the Panthers, Greg. Oh, it was just intriguing.
Everybody knows.
Go Horse was our late '90s theme. Back in the Harbaugh days.
Yeah. Shout out to Harbaugh.
Well, the Colts broke their 8-year losing streak in week 1. Unfortunately, it was by tying the Texans. So still a winless streak, 9 years running. Honestly, like so many other teams, they were incredibly sloppy. They started out okay, which made sense because they made a concerted effort to play guys more in the preseason because they didn't want these slow starts that they've been having the last 6-7 years. But the first quarter worked out okay, and then second and third quarters, everything went wrong. You had drop passes, drop touchdowns, blown blocks, bad flags that went against them. It was incredibly frustrating, especially when you end up down 20-3 to the Houston Texans. But I will say the fourth quarter showed exactly why they brought in Matt Ryan. They brought them down, scored 17 unanswered to tie that game. And if not for a shank field goal in overtime, that was only like a 43 yarder, they win that game. And as frustrating as it is, it's getting a one losing streak out of the way is a good step towards next week, where they've got to go to Jacksonville, where they haven't won in 6 years. But they led the NFL in total offense in week 1, had over 500 yards of total offense. They went for it at the goal line once, got stuffed, had 2 drop touchdowns in that game.
So you're saying it could have been a bit, you could have won handily?
Yes. Okay. Alec Pierce dropped a touchdown early, so getting 4 additional points there, and not getting stuffed at the goal line on 4th down. Like, that's a 11-point swing right there. And both of their tackles, the left tackle, they've been rotating Matt Pryor and Bernard Ryman in week 1, which is interesting. I think a little bit bigger concern is Braden Smith, the right tackle, did not play well. He struggled some last year after being one of the best right tackles in football for 3 years. Ryan Kelly had some subpar play as well. So hopefully it's something that when you're paying an offensive line and having one of the 5 most expensive offensive lines in the NFL, especially after giving Quentin Nelson $20 million a year, they got to play like it. And right now they're not. Yeah. But I think Michael Pittman showed that he's going to have a breakout season, and he is a legit number 1 wideout. Jonathan Taylor picked right up where he left off last year. Yeah. And I think they just need another wide receiver to step up to help out Pittman because they got enough out of the tight end group with Granson and Mo Alley Cox.
Yeah.
Pittman gave them more in that game. I think he's going to have a monster season and the best production they've had from a wide receiver since prime T.Y. Hilton. And I think they'll be okay, but they have to win in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
But I think things, I mean, they lost opening day, or they tied opening day, excuse me, and they're still tied for first place in the South. So not the end of the world.
It's always a good thing. All right.
Thank goodness for the AFC South.
All right. Craig, I call it Carolina Craig's Panthers because Craig is like a big Carolina fan across the board, especially with Carolina basketball. The Tar Heels. So that's why I was like, you probably even noticed that. I didn't say Carolina Panthers. I
did.
said Carolina Craig's Panthers.
Their little tagline or slogan thing is "Keep Pounding."
Okay.
Sam Mills said that a long time ago. But
I love Sam Mills too. I think he's a Hall of Famer. Man. I think he made it finally. Yeah, I think he made it.
Yeah, after he passed away.
Yeah, man.
All right. I don't. Okay.
You can rant if you want to, man.
I'm trying to keep it somewhat short, but I mean, I it's hard. So obviously, I had concern about the run defense. The run defense was one of the worst last year in the NFL coming in, or at the end of the season, and it might have been the worst. Or it was. I know it was bottom 3, I believe. So I knew, and then they lost Reddick and they lost Brown. So I was like, okay, we'll see what happens. And getting dude from Washington, I can't remember his name, Laurinaitis, I believe.
Laurinaitis, Matt Litt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got
Laurinaitis. Yeah, I can never pronounce his name, but yeah, I like him.
Laurinaitis was a former Buckeye linebacker.
Yeah. Then they promoted Gross Matos and all that stuff, and I was like, okay, I think they're still going to be bad, but they gave up 217 rushing yards, man. Bad, like that's crazy. The second worst for week 1. I knew it was going to be bad, but I really didn't know it was going to be 217 rushing yards bad. But it is what it is. So I'm not surprised that they couldn't stop the run, but as much as they gave up was just very, very disappointing. Nick Chubb had 141 rushing yards. He didn't have a touchdown, but touchdown went to Kareem Hunt. So that's disappointing. Baker played for the first 3 quarters. Baker played like he wasn't good, basically. Missing some throws, inaccurate. He was getting rushed. Obviously, the offensive line, it was pretty much a strength against a weakness. The defensive line for the Browns against the offensive line for the Panthers. So I was kind of expecting the offensive line. I thought it would be a little bit better than they actually were, but they weren't. Baker, he didn't look comfortable out there for the first 3 quarters. Finally, in the fourth quarter, though, showed some signs of life. He had a nice 75-yard pass to Robbie Anderson, who they had that. Robbie Anderson had the thing, he didn't want Baker Mayfield there, but it worked out. He led the team in receiving. He also had a touchdown run early in the fourth quarter, and I mean, he hasn't had I don't think they've had a team to lead a fourth quarter comeback. I mean, even though they didn't win the game, but it looked promising that he led the team in the comeback with 17 in the fourth quarter after being down 17-7 and then down 20-7 going into the fourth.
Yeah.
And, he let him back. Like Baker Mayfield showed some signs, especially in that fourth quarter. He had 131 passing yards in the fourth versus the whole rest of the game. He only had 101. So I thought that was promising. If they can get if they can get comfortable like that and just let them go and Baker gets more familiar with what's going on with the offense and it starts to gel with the other receivers, then cool. I think it'll be fine. But the first 3 quarters were horrible, but the last one he played really, really well. There were so many issues with the quarterback snaps or this quarterback and center exchange. They fumbled the ball 4 times. Baker fumbled the ball 4 times. They recovered all 4 of them, and then the center also fumbled the ball, and they fortunately recovered that. So they had 5 fumbles that they recovered. But I mean, you can't have bad snaps,
yeah,
especially when 2 of them are in a shotgun. That's crazy. So that was unfortunate. Like they lost so many yards because of that, and just didn't get plays off, obviously. So they pretty much just lost it down. But hopefully they're working on that this week in practice. Christian McCaffrey, I understand that he was injured last year, and you kind of want to bring him back slowly, but like he's your best offensive player.
I would give him 80 carries, man. I don't know what they're talking about, man. He's getting 80 touches.
He only had 14 touches.
Yeah, I am. What are you talking about? I'm gonna ask him, like, what's up? He probably gonna want to play. I'm 80 touches.
But he hasn't played since. I mean, he didn't play in the he doesn't ever play in the preseason. So, I mean, he had 10 carries for only 33 yards, and he had 4 catches for 24 yards. He had a rushing touchdown in the second quarter, but it just wasn't enough. Hopefully, they take the training wheels off of him a little bit. He gets going, but we'll see. And then there's like a bunch of crazy stuff. Like they had 5 tip. The Browns had 5 tip passes, which is like that's just offensive line not getting enough push, and Baker Mayfield not getting the ball up high enough. They committed 8 penalties for 96 yards, which is crazy. They gave up 4 sacks, and Carolina only had 1. So I mean, I pretty much knew that was going to happen because of the whole strength against weakness thing. Carolina was struggling on third down, 4 for 11.
Damn.
That's almost 33%. And then the big thing was pretty much why they lost, because they only lost by 58-yard field goal, was the time of possession. 38 minutes plus the 21 minutes plus. Like almost 7, that's about 17 minutes plus in difference between time of possession. And that's just
Cleveland had the ball versus Carolina, right?
That's because Cleveland could run the ball. Carolina couldn't run the ball. So I mean, and you also committing so many fumbles and penalties and stuff like that. So I mean, it is what it is, man. But that stuff like that has to be corrected. They have to figure out how to run the ball effectively.
Do you think they should have given him more carries instead of 10?
If you're not going to give Christian McCaffrey the carries, at least give it to Hubbard more, or give it to Foreman, somebody like that. I mean, I understand you. Like I said, you're trying to get CMC back. Yeah, but I mean, like you have to do something and run the ball somehow, or at least if you're not going to run the ball, at least do like some short 2 or 3 yard dump off passes, maybe get yards like that, or like some screens or something, some quick passes to the receiver or something. I don't know, but slants, you got to find a way to get better time possession in that. But I also the rookie left tackle, he didn't play too well, gave up back-to-back sacks at one point to
he's playing the best.
Man, look, I'm just giving you my notes, man. He has to do better. I understand the first game of the season, and I understand he's going against Myles Garrett, but I mean, come on, man. Like you have to play better than that.
Come on, man.
Yeah, you got to play a little bit better than that. And one time he was getting double teamed. They brought the tight end over there. He still couldn't stop him. So, it is what it is. Like, but you have to get better than that. DJ Moore, he only caught 3 passes out of 40 for 43 yards. That's not enough. And this coming week, oh, you know what else pissed me off? No, seriously, this pissed me off. Yeah, it was the second to last play of the game before the field goal. Okay, I don't know what that was, but it looked like intentional grounding. They had blown the whistle and they had flagged him for intentional grounding, but then they picked it up saying he didn't do it. It looked like intentional grounding. He stepped back like he faked the spike, and then he faked the spike. He stepped back and then he spiked the ball. Yeah. I figured you're not supposed to do that because it looks like you're trying to throw the ball down.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk said that there is an end zone angle that shows that, it was a fake spike. Then he threw it into the ground. That is intentional grounding. It should have been called.
See, I like Mike Florio, by the way. I do listen to him and Chris Sims.
That would have football talk. That was 13 seconds left. That would have been a 10-second runoff because they had no more timeouts. That had also been a 10-yard penalty and a loss it down. So they would have been back 10 more yards, and he wouldn't. I mean, I guess technically he made the field goal with like room to spare, but I mean, kicking a 68-yard field goal, or whatever it would have been at that time, 70-yard field goal, I doubt that would have happened. So, I thought they kind of got screwed out of that one, but they didn't deserve to win the game based off of everything. And then this week coming up, they got the Giants, who have the number 1 rushing offense, and who have Saquon Barkley, who he led the league in rushing. So yeah. And it's a road game. So, it is what it is. It's going to be tough, but what can you do, man? It was a tough week for them. And they could have won, but they didn't deserve to win.
All right, Mo. The Commanders Hail to the
yeah,
Commanders.
hey, listen, see,
That's our slogan.
listen, listen,
Yeah, right.
So I like the offense coming out. I question was it to help the O-line or is it because you didn't really believe in Gibson or don't believe we can block like that to line up in certain sets and run the ball with Gibson? So we used Curtis Samuel the way I thought we was going to use him in the beginning before he got hurt. We had him in motion. We motioned him in the backfield. We did some certain things. And the things we did with him, it opened up for McLaurin and for Dobson later on. Because then now Jacksonville had to make adjustments and they had to focus on Samuels and now opened up everybody else. So now I want to see if Scott Turner is going to continue to use Curtis Samuels early to open up for Dobson, or will he reverse it sometime? Will he make the adjustment to maybe go to McLaurin and Dobson early and then go back to Samuels later on? Also, I want to see if we can run the ball with Gibson. You know what I'm saying? Eventually, we want to be able to run the ball in 2 tight end sets and be able to get some yards now. I didn't want Wentz over 40 throws, but I think he threw the ball 41 times, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I don't like that for Wentz, but I get it. I mean, it was part of the scheme, but moving forward, I don't think that's going to be a good recipe for us winning, him throwing the ball 40 times a game, but that's just me. I like Dobson. He showed some flashes of what we saw at Penn State.
Told you guys. Told you.
I will say I have to apologize. I mean, I was very down on us moving down, especially when we could have got Olave or some of the other receivers. But Dobson showed some things. McLaurin, he was McLaurin when it was time to give him the ball. I mean, he did what he did when it was time to give him the ball. If this is going to be our offense, I think it opens up things for him where he's not targeted. He don't feel like it's all him. I hope now that Logan Thomas can stay healthy, we can get the ball to him. One thing for the offense, Wentz picks. I mean, I think at times Wentz was Wentz at times. He was the old Wentz at times. Like, you got to make that throw. I think it was one of the first series of the game, wide open Dobson, he missed it. It was a couple of throws. The pick he threw to the rookie, I was like, what are you doing? Like, why? Like, what was that? Like, that's the Wentz that's the reason why you got out of Indianapolis. This is the reason why you're not in Philly anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I think he recovered. He kind of sat down, cooled himself out, and he came back and kind of finished the job. So I like that. I just want to see our running game a little bit more. Defensively, I get that people are excited and want to say and talk about the Jaguars has, this talent and all this up and rising, but for it being Jacksonville, no disrespect, I saw a lot of holes I didn't like. I saw a lot of receivers open, a lot of missed tackles. We got stops when we needed to, but I just saw a lot of the secondary kind of look bad at times. Again, I mean, the secondary looked kind of terrible at times. Once again, I think moving forward, when we're playing the teams we're going to be playing soon, it just kind of made me nervous a little bit. But overall, I like the energy. We showed. I like if we can stay afloat and get Chase Young back, I like our chances, man, to make the playoffs. I mean, how we look right quick. I like how the offense looked. The offense looks better than it did last year. I think we took more chances down the field. Last year, like we were scared to push the ball downfield. It looked like with Wentz, we'll at least take the shot. Whether it's good or bad, we'll take the shot at least. So I like where we're going. I just need us to shore up that secondary a little bit and run the ball a little bit better.
Yeah. I like, so to your point, Mo. Okay. The Commanders with the Curtis Samuels, Scott Turner was doing that in North Carolina. I think Craig can attest to this with Curtis Samuel's best years. They were using that same running / and they were using Curtis Samuels all over the field. When Curtis Samuels is healthy, that's what he is. He's a weapon. So not kind of like Deebo Samuel, but Deebo Samuel's obviously better, but they're trying to use him in that aspect. My thoughts were the game was a little too close for my liking. Travis Etienne dropped a couple passes that I thought if he had it, I don't know if he win that game. Speaking of Carson Wentz, I do like his short memory because I was actually texting live. I was like, listen, man, we lose this game, we're going 6-11. There's no way. Right. And I already had us, 7-10. But the way that Wentz looked in the offense and bounced back and threw touchdowns to Dotson and McLaurin, I like it. And I think that it looks different than it did than last year. And I'm confident. No disrespect to Cooper Rush, but I'm confident in Heineke as being a quality backup, right? Right? He has these weapons. Wentz goes down. Wentz misses time. This is the fact. He's, don't be surprised if he misses a game or two. Or even 3 or 4. I'm happy. I am very content with Heineke coming in and doing a good job, keeping us straight afloat. The defense, you're right. I wish we could go to the 3-4. I think Sweat and Young will be phenomenal edge rushers. That's just me. And I think, well, maybe we don't. I just don't think we have the linebacking core for 4-3. That's just me. It's short, but two lines.
We don't.
Yeah, we don't. So I like a 3-4, but that's just me. I would have converted. We changed to a 4-3, and everybody's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "No, go back to a 3-4." Because Payne and Allen, I think that's better in that
4-3.
Yeah. So
with that D tackle going down for the season, it hurts because I think they was using him more in the beginning because Payne was going to be a trade piece.
Yeah.
But now Payne has to play a lot more now than it was, because of the rookie who went down for the season.
Yeah. So, I'm pretty excited. I think the O-line looked good. I think Wentz was being Wentz. That's what we got to expect from him. Up and down. He's going to look the receivers down and throw a pick, but then he's also going to throw a touchdown. He's going to go deep for Dotson. That's who Wentz is. Wentz is he's going to try it. Nobody's ever said Wentz doesn't try. He's going to throw it. That's what he's going to do. That's who he is. So, it was game 1. We'll see. And am I saying we're going to go to the playoffs? I was in a group text with my friends. We're all Commanders fans, and I was like, James, playoffs. They're saying playoffs. I was like, it's all on Wentz. I don't know if I can guarantee that yet. I don't. Even with Dallas's injury, I still don't know because it's all on Wentz, and we've seen what his record is the last 2 years. So I'm not going to jump out there and say, hey, we're playoffs. And the NFC looks weak, and the next thing you know, it's like, damn, how do we finish 8-9?
Hey, let me say this. Let me say this right quick. And no disrespect to other teams, no disrespect to what's going on. I'd be shocked right now, looking at the landscape, if we don't start at least 3-2. At least 3-2. And what I mean by that is I feel like we can beat Detroit. And I feel like we should get at least one of those wins out of that Dallas, Tennessee, Philly win.
I think we could beat Dallas.
And I think we could beat Tennessee. I honestly think we could beat Tennessee. If we shut down Derrick Henry and force Tennessee to be one-sided, I think we could beat Tennessee. Tennessee did not look that good against the Giants.
No, they did.
James, the one thing that I will caution you on is that like last year, Carson Wentz was the reason the Colts were in a few of those games the first 4 weeks of the season.
Yeah.
But his play did drop off and got progressively worse as the season went.
Yeah.
So fine to be optimistic, but I would caution that optimism with seeing if Wentz is going to be able to finally get some consistency.
Yeah, that's all, man. He has Commanders fans lit right now, and I'm trying to tell my friends like, hey, we gotta. It's all on Wentz. There's no like, and I agree. This is what we do every year, right? And it's like, all right, I can't believe it. We're gonna go. We're gonna go to the Super Bowl, and it's like, I think we need to relax. I said, here it is, James. If we lose 6-11, what are we now? He said, what are we now? This is Monday, right after the game. He said, if we lose, you said we were 6-7. He said, what are we now? Because we won. I said 8-9. I haven't changed. It's all on Wentz. If Wentz stays focused and consistent, then we could be. There's a 1 or 2 game swing. It's not huge, but it is. But it's on Wentz. Like I'm not.
I would imagine most Commanders fans were expecting to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars, even with Heineke as quarterback.
Yeah. Yes. As Mo said, if we
did, honestly,
he's fine, Ron Rivera.
No, I was hot seat, but honestly, anything under 9 wins is a disappointment for me, unless we just have crazy injuries. Like unless we just ravaged by injuries, I just feel like.
All right, man.
I just feel like. I feel like our schedule is tough. These next.
We have an easy schedule, Mo.
I'm talking about us. I'm kind of comparing.
You talking about we have a tough schedule, and you expect us to go to the playoffs.
I do because
you see how that says. You see how it means.
No, I understand what you're saying.
Schedule, but you're saying tough. That's why we're gonna be 8-9.
No, I don't want to.
Exactly.
I think we should win 9 games. I think that 3-game stretch after the Lions is going to really determine a lot. Like what we do with those 3 games is really going to set a stage for what's going to happen with that.
We'll see. I'm just not.
We still got Minnesota. We still got San Fran.
I've lost it for a second, man. Even when we went to the playoffs, we were below 500. We won a division and went to the playoffs, we were below 500. So it's kind of like we had to go, because we won a division. But if this was the NBA, we wouldn't have made it in there because it's based on seeding. There has to be a division winner. But all right, let's do this. We're going to do this every week, right? And it's just name one player. I'm gonna post it on Fridays. Yep. So this Friday, it's just gonna be name one quarterback, one running back, one tight end. Just either like a sleeper or breakout player that you think, tight end, defense, flex that has a good matchup and why. So I'm gonna start off with Craig. Oh, look at that, landed on you. Craig, shout out to Craig. You made some good picks last week too, man.
I think I did. I think I got 3 right.
Yeah, you made some good picks last
Other
week.
2, nah.
Mo did too. Mo did too. I don't know about me, but go ahead.
All right, so this week for quarterback, I'm going with Trey Lance. I don't know why he's ranked so low. I guess because of the performance he had last week, maybe. But it's a bad situation because of the weather. But they're going against the Seahawks, who have the 3rd most passing yards allowed last week. So
yeah,
going with Lance there for quarterback. Running back, I'm actually going with Gibson. Gibson is 15th right now, and they're going to the Lions, who gave up the 3rd most rushing yards last week. Plus, Gibson can catch the ball. He was naturally a receiver, I believe, in college. So, or a catching back at least. So he caught 7 passes last week, which is tied for 2nd for among running backs. So I expect him to have a big game, if not rushing, at least catching. Hunter Renfrow for my receiver. I know that he didn't have a good game last week, but the Cardinals are so horrible. They gave up the most passing yards last week. So
they look crazy.
I know they still have Waller and they have Devonte, but Hunter Renfrow, he was the main guy for Derek Carr last year. I expect him to he's got to have a better game than he did last week. My tight end, I got Higbee. Higbee didn't have a good game as far as like yards and receptions, but he led the league in as far as tight ends. He led all tight ends with 11 targets last week, and this week they get Atlanta. So I kind of expect him to have a pretty good game against the Falcons. The Falcons defense is not that good to me, and like I said, Higbee is a reliable target for Stafford. And my defense, I don't know how the Steelers are like outside the top 10. The Steelers have what they had 7 sacks last week.
Yeah.
And they have 5 takeaways, 4 interceptions. And they're going against the Patriots at home. And the Patriots, they had 3 turnovers last week. So I don't know how the Steelers, I know they're not like a breakout team, and they lost Watt. But, you know, they still have enough players in that team to get sacks and to get takeaways. So, and they had a pick 6. So those are my breakout, not in the top 10 type.
Yeah. All right, Mo, who you got?
I'm gonna go a different route. You know, I think some people that need to improve, or I think that will have, you know, some type of comeback games. Let's start off at quarterback. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to come out motivated. I think he's going to see that after that type of game, and after you coming out and saying what you said about your receivers, I think you have to come out and lead the charge. Mm-hmm. Also, I think Josh Allen's going to have another big day against Tennessee. I'm going to go running back. I think Cincinnati knows that. I think Cincinnati saw how much Burrow was getting hit. So I think Joe Mixon's going to have a good game. I think Joe Mixon is going to have a good game. I think I think Pollard might come out in a good game. I think they're going to mix it up. I think they're going to try to find Pollard the ball some more against Cincinnati. Cincinnati didn't look good stopping the run. Wide receiver, I'm gonna go. I know it's a homer, but I'm gonna go McLaurin. I think they're gonna get him the ball a little more against Detroit, and I'm also gonna go with Hunter Renfrow. I think they're gonna get him the ball more because it was a big scrutiny thing about how much they got Devonte Adams the ball, and you didn't target him a lot. You didn't try to give him the ball at all. So if Jonathan Daniels is the dude, I think he's gonna do it as far as making adjustments. I think he's gonna try to get his ball players the ball. Tight end. I think I can see Dalton Schultz having a decent day now, especially with Dak being hurt. You would try to get the ball to your tight end more. You know, I don't think they're going to try to stress the ball downfield a lot yet. Also, dude from Pittsburgh, I think I can see him having a big day. I like him. Dude that came out of Penn State. Defense. I think San Francisco is going to be very angry. I mean, I think you lose a game, you keep a team under 20. I can see them kind of, and you got a hot Seattle team, people slicing Seattle. I can see San Fran coming out and really punching Seattle defensively in the mouth. And also, I think Buffalo's going to cause some turnovers with Tennessee. I think they're going to make Tennessee one-sided, and I think they're going to cause some turnovers there.
All right, cool. I'm gonna say this, and some of these people are on my team. There's no correlation. I just think they're gonna, after doing some research, I think they're gonna have a good week. I am gonna say somebody, they're gonna have a good week. I think Derek Carr against the Raiders. I think he had a bad week last week. Chargers are a good defense. I'm surprised I won, but he had a terrible week. But I think Arizona's defense looks like vanilla bean ice cream from Haagen-Dazs. Soft and tasty. So any team that you got, any team, I don't know, man. This game I like that. Any team that goes up against Arizona is like a must-start for offense. Oh, man. All right. Craig is crazy. All right, so running back. You know, I think I'm gonna have to go with Kareem Hunt. I think he's a good flex play. I think they're playing the Jets, and I think he's just gonna do. I think him and Chubb are like a really good matchup, and they got Jacoby Brissett is their backup quarterback. Well, not their backup. Jacoby Brissett is their quarterback right now, and I think they're going to really lean on the run game. So I think Kareem Hunt is a good matchup. For receiver, I'm gonna go with Curtis Samuel. Detroit, I think he's gonna be involved in the game a lot. I think he surprised a lot of people. I know that he's probably off the waiver wire now. I haven't checked it yet in my league, but I'm 99% sure that somebody snapped him in our league. Our league is notorious for snatching off the waiver wire. So I'm pretty sure he's gone. The tight end, I like what Mo said. But you could do Evan Ingram from Jacksonville. I think they're going against Indianapolis. I know Indy's a good defense, but they do give up some yards to the tight end. So if Jacksonville notices that, they could, feed Evan Ingram. And for
I would say for that, Darius Leonard may not play again. Week 2.
all right. And did I say receiver, running back, flex play? I'm gonna say Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think he's gonna be really good. He's a receiver from the Detroit Lions. I think he's gonna have a really good game against us. For some reason, we can't check receivers. It's always an issue. Maybe since we got rid of Champ, I would say maybe, but that was a long time ago. So I think he's gonna have a great game. Defense, I think that the Colts got a good shot, and I know that Cincinnati against Dallas. It's another one. But I think the Colts got a good shot at Jackson. Bill, I didn't think Jacksonville looked good. I didn't think so. And I think if they play a better quality team like the Colts, I think they're gonna get dominated. I think they are. I don't think Jacksonville look good at all, especially against us. And that's it's not saying a lot. So all right, Corey.
All right, for quarterback, I'm with Craig. I'm going to say Trey Lance. I think Seattle is a good matchup for San Francisco. I know Seattle beat a Denver team that I expect to be very good this season, but I still just don't think Seattle will be very good. So I think Lance can bounce back against them. Running back, I'm also going to throw out Jeff Wilson. I don't know where he falls in the rankings this week, but with taking over the starting job, I would say play him until he gets hurt in a couple of weeks. Since San Francisco's running backs do tend to always get hurt, I will throw out a stash play if you guys have room on your bench. The 49ers have signed Marlon Mack to their practice squad.
Oh.
And I think in a couple of weeks, once the depth chart has kind of cleared up, because again, 49ers running backs always get hurt, that Marlon Mack would be very interesting play in that San Francisco offense.
He'll be really good, I think. Wow.
Wide receiver, I'm going to throw out Allen Robinson. Look, I don't know if he's washed yet or not. He was nowhere to be found week 1.
I think he's just new in the system.
But I would imagine Robinson, McVay, Stafford, all of them saw all the talk about Allen Robinson's done. He's washed. He needs to retire. I think that they're going to look to get him involved against Atlanta.
Yeah.
Tight end, I'm going to go Freiermuth as well. I think with a guy like Trubisky under center, he's going to be more prone to checking down to a safety valve. And I think Freiermuth is a guy, I know I've done it. I've drafted him. I'm just going to play him and just never worry about the tight end position again until his bye.
Yeah.
Defense, I think Denver should be poised for a really good bounce back against a Houston team that has a lot of question marks.
Yeah. Damn. All right. So I don't know. I got to look at the waiver wire, Corey, because I haven't, but I need to look at it to see, because it's I don't think some people in our let me tell you something. The waiver wire is very competitive in our league, man. And people get snatched up. And it's if you're picking somebody, I mean, I lucked out with the tight end, but it was the first week. So I don't know, man. These tight ends, these receivers, like I bet you somebody picked up Josh Palmer already. I just got a feeling, man. Somebody picked.
Oh,
him
I
up.
got Palmer in the
See there.
in the draft.
Oh, you got him in the draft. Oh, so then you're good then. Yeah. Oh man, look at Robbie Anderson, DJ Chark, Tyler Higbee. Oh, Tony's there. Taysom Hill's gone. Yeah. Jeff Wilson. Curtis Samuel. Look at this. Yeah, I added the Denver tight end last minute. Shout out to you, Craig. Thank you for that. Added him last minute, and I'm stashing them. I'm stashing to somebody. All right. So I am because I have Zach Ertz. I didn't know if Zach Ertz was going to start. So I was like, well, if he doesn't, then, you know, you can't expect that many points from your tight end. Like if you don't have Kelsey or Kittle or Darren Waller, you can expect I expect a good 10 points, man. I'm good with that. I can't expect, you know, unless it's Kelsey. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like you can't expect you can expect 12. I expect 10 to 12 points from my tight end. And I think that's a good day.
You know what? I saw a stat the other day, and it said that Kelsey has 30 100-yard reception games, but the team they played, the Cardinals last week, the Cardinals haven't had a 100-yard receiving tight end since 1989.
Jeez.
You know how tough that is to do?
Yeah, that's crazy.
People never seen a tight end in Arizona get 100 yards.
That's
I think
crazy.
they might have been in the AFC. They were in the
AFC. Were they
NFC East with the
Cowboys? NFC East. I remember that. It was the Giants, the Cardinals, us, the Eagles, the Arizona Cardinals. Never. I think they went to the playoffs one time. This is when the NFC East was good, though. You're talking about like in the early 90s and the 80s, where it's like Giants are going to Super Bowls, Redskins is going to Super Bowl, Dallas are going to Super Bowls, and all of us are good, right? We got good coaches, got Joe Gibbs, Jimmy Johnson, you know what I'm saying? The Eagles are good, and it's just like the Cardinals were always not good. They moved their division. But all right, so yeah, here it is. My favorite time of the evening, baby. Yep. Who you got? Always a hit sound effects, man. All right. All right, Mo. We got Buccaneers versus Saints. Who you got?
Bucs Saints. Offensively, culture wise, I'm gonna go with that's a tough one. I'm gonna go even with the coaches. Both dealt with some adversity, both in different situations. I'm kind of go even. It's hard for me to pick one right here in this situation. I wish both of them well. Both of them are good dudes. Both of them are deserving of other opportunities. But I'm gonna go even on there. Offense. I'm gonna go with Tampa. I know the weapons, I understand it, but I didn't like what I saw at times. But I'm just going with Tampa because I trust the quarterback more. I think Tampa Bay is going to get going. I think that offensive lines improve as they hold up. I know that Tampa does not do good against New Orleans typically. But I'm going to go Tampa. Defensively, I'm going to go New Orleans. I'm going to go with New Orleans. Overall talent, overall movement. I love New Orleans, even though they fell behind 15 points to Atlanta, but I'm going to go New Orleans. I'm going to go with this one. You know what? I'm gonna say it continues. I'm gonna say the streak continues. Tampa Bay is gonna lose. I think New Orleans is gonna win 24-21.
All right. Who you got? Buccaneers versus Saints. Coaching. I'm gonna probably go with Todd. But they're first year head coaches. But I'm gonna go with Todd Bowles. I think his coaching. I think he's just a better coach than Dennis Allen. I think Dennis Allen was not really good his first stint, but Todd Bowles was better. I think he's a better coach. Offense. The Bucks offense. Let me tell you something about the Bucks. They are very smart on getting the depth of receiver. So Chris Godwin has a hamstring issue, which I kind of get. He's coming off ACL, which is, I mean, for him to play in the first game is sick. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't think Chris Godwin was gonna play in the first game, but he did, and he played good. And he had a hamstring injury, which is understandable, right? He's coming off a ACL tear, so I get it. But they also have Russell Gage too, and they still got a little Scotty Miller, right? And they still have Mike Evans. But I just the New Orleans offense has Kamara, Mark Ingram in the backfield, Michael Thomas, Olave, and Landry. The only plus side the Bucks have is Tom Brady. So I'm giving the offense to the Saints. Defense are pretty good. I think the Bucks have one of the best front sevens in the NFL. The Saints defense is really good. I think Atlanta's a tough one. Divisional game. Even if a team is not good, they're gonna play in a division really well and closely. So I just think that the Saints, the back end of the Saints defense is a lot better than the Bucks back end. I don't know. This is tough. It's almost even for real. I mean, these are both really good defenses. I'm not gonna go even. I'm gonna give the edge to Saints. I'm gonna give the edge to Saints. And because of Tom Brady, Dennis Allen has figured out Tom Brady. Because of the new offensive weapons, I gotta go with the Saints. And I think to be honest with you, I don't think this is close. I think the Saints, I think the Saints make they pull their cojones out, man. And I think they they pull their marbles, man, Major League to get it together, guys. So I think that I have the Saints winning 35-21. Yeah. Go hard, man. All right, Corey, go ahead. Who you got?
All right. Coaching, give me the push. You have two respected coordinators going into their first season as head coaches in their second chance. And we've seen them coaching again for one game. Like, come on now. You might as well have two first-time coaches doing it.
Yeah.
Offensively, it's especially with the fact that not only do you have injuries to Godwin, who I have to imagine is going to miss time, and the calf injury to Mike Evans, you have 5 total Tampa Bay pass catchers on the injury report right now.
Yeah.
So that alone, I feel gives the edge to New Orleans with, as James listed, the litany of talent that they've got this year. Defensively, two really good defenses. I will go ahead and give the slight edge to New Orleans. But they're both really good as well. Offensively, I'm with you there, James. I think New Orleans wins. I don't think it'll be a blowout. I think there's enough growing pains. Like if Sean Payton was back, I think I would take New Orleans in a blowout. But I'm going to go New Orleans 23-17.
All right. Craig. I don't think, Craig, which one you don't? It's the Saints that you don't like, right?
I don't like either one. But
No, which one you do? Which one that you dislike the most? It's the Saints, right?
Yeah, I don't like the Saints.
You
So
know the Saints.
coaching wise, I'm not doing pushes this year, so I'm going.
That's
I'm going Ty Bowles.
how you going? No
man.
pushes, Craig.
I'm not doing pushes, man.
Go-
I'm not going to be Indianapolis and Houston today.
oh.
So yeah, I got damn, okay. So I have Ty Bowles as a coach. Dennis Allen, I know they're both in their first year with the new teams. And Dennis Allen had a really horrible time in his first stint with Oakland, I believe. All right.
Yeah.
So, it is what it is. Like we have a it's kind of close, obviously, but I'm going to go Ty Bowles slightly. Offensive side, obviously, offensive line issues are there for both teams. More so for the Bucs. They have so many injuries there. The wide receivers, obviously, Godwin's hurt. Mike Evans is hurt. I don't know. And then when Mike Evans plays against the Saints, when he gets defended by Lattimore, he just doesn't do well at all. So I'm kind of looking at backups to replace some of my fantasy teams because he's already injured and now you got to go against Lattimore.
Yeah.
I don't like Julio, but he did look pretty good last week against the Cowboys. Russell Gage is there as well. The tight ends are Fournette, when he gets the ball, I think he'll get the ball a lot this week. I think he could be a difference maker in this game. Michael Thomas looked really good for his first time back in a while, and the connection was there with him and Jameis. Chris Olave looked okay for his first game. Jarvis Landry looked amazing, and I guess Taysom Hill is running the ball like he did last week. Their offense looks really good. So I'm slightly giving the edge. I know that the better quarterback is Tom Brady, but I'm slightly going with the Saints offense. Alvin Kamara, he has to have a better game this week than he did last week. It's going to be tougher because he's going against a better defense. So we'll see. On the defensive side, I'm going with the Bucs. The Bucs, to me, played a better opponent last week, and they didn't give up near as many yardage as the Saints did. And the Saints, to me, were playing an inferior opponent, and they just didn't look good they didn't look good on both sides of the ball, honestly. The fourth quarter, they showed some signs, which was good for them. But I'm going with the Bucs here for the defense. Now, I'm looking at my thing here, and when I did the whole game, I did pick the Saints to win this game.
Oh, okay.
I'm kind of thinking about changing it, but I'm going to stick with the Saints. I don't feel good. I wouldn't be surprised if the Bucs win this game. I think they had their issues with the offense last week with Tom Brady missing 11 days in camp and some receivers out and whatever it is. He didn't have that rapport with those guys, and they settled for 4 field goals in the first half, and they just didn't look good overall. But the defense looked solid. So, but I'm going with the Saints. It's a road game. The Saints have owned them. Let me go 21-17 Saints.
There we go. All right. Now I got the Dolphins versus the Ravens. This is gonna be an interesting game. Dolphins and Ravens. I have coaching. I gotta go Harbaugh. He's been there. He's experienced. He's won a Super Bowl. I mean, he's in a conversation every year. They're good every year. And he's just one of those coaches that I just think it's a generational talent. Like if Carolina or Colts had Harbaugh or the Commanders, we'd be happy. I just think he's a good coach. He listens to his players, and and not to say that Mike McDaniels isn't. He just doesn't. He's only coached one game in the NFL, so Harbaugh has experience over that. And listen, the NFL, you'll lose your job quick for coaches. I think it's 3 years. So, offense. I gotta go to Dolphins. Now, even though the Ravens have Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews, it's just that J.K. Dobbins is still not here for a running back. He's practicing this week, but we don't know. Right? Rashad Bateman is good, but he's not Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle. To be honest, it's a fact. He's not. Jalen Waddle's a quality receiver. He's put it on the field. So offense, you got Tua, he's accurate. And then you got the running game. You got a good offensive line. I just think Miami's offense is more explosive. Defense, I gotta give it to the Ravens. I think their defense is great, and I think they're gonna be causing Tua problems all game. And this is, first of all, they ramp their defense, and their defense is healthy. So the Ravens defense is better than the Dolphins. And the Dolphins defense is pretty good. They're really good. It's just the Ravens defense is better. Overall, listen, they're playing in Baltimore. Doesn't matter if they're playing in Miami. Lamar Jackson's home either way. So, if they was in Miami, he might shred them like he did when he was MVP season. But I think the Ravens win this one. I think this is not going to be like my last prediction. I think it's going to be a closer game. But I do have Baltimore pulling out because of the defense. And I love Tua, but, Lamar, you can say what you want about Lamar. Lamar wins games and he beats teams over 500. That's what Lamar does. Playoffs, listen, everybody struggles in the playoffs. Look at Aaron Rodgers. The playoffs this intensity it's hard. Peyton Manning, it's not like it's hard. The playoffs are hard. It's hard to win in the playoffs or win a Super Bowl regardless. So I think the Ravens win. And I think they win 24-21. This is going to be a good one decided by a field goal. All right, Corey, Dolphins, Ravens, who you got?
Coaching it's Harbaugh. Like there's not many times that I'm going to say somebody other than Harbaugh when they're playing. So
yeah,
to go into that. Offensively, look, I know without question, Miami has the two best receivers on the field. Tyreek Hill is still one of the best receivers in the game. Jalen Waddle is a very impressive second-year wide receiver. Baltimore has Lamar Jackson. They have the far better quarterback in this game. I think they got a better offensive line. Mark Andrews might just be the best all-around pass catcher on the field for either team. And for, James talking about Miami having an explosive offense, that offense scored 13 points last week. So I think I got to lean Lamar and the Ravens on offense.
Okay.
Because I would argue that the running backs are probably a wash with Dobbins out. Defensively, I do think Miami has a really solid, stout defense, but Baltimore's defense on paper is just loaded. They have talent all over that roster, and they've got depth this year. And they have one of, if not the best defense in the NFL this season. So overall, look, I think Baltimore, especially with Lamar, has something to prove. It seems like the locker room really likes Lamar. I'm sure that they want to kind of rally around, play for him as well. I do still think that the Dolphins could be a sleeper team to make the playoffs in the AFC. I like Mike McDaniel. I just don't like this matchup for them. I give me Baltimore 27-17.
All right. He took yours.
Score.
Oh, Yeah.
So okay, so obviously coaching, I'm going Harbaugh. I don't need to go into detail about it. The offense, though, I'm going with the Dolphins. I think their offensive line is better. At least it's more it's upgraded. At least they got a left tackle, they got a center. I like their wide receivers way more than I liked any receiver from Baltimore. Their running backs, I don't even know if Dobbins plays, then it might, I might think about changing it, but as of right now, I don't know if he plays. He's up in the air.
Yeah, he's in the air. I check it daily.
Kenyon Drake, he's I got him on fans.
Yeah,
Kenyon Drake, solid backup, but I think he still has to get up to speed. And obviously Lamar over Tua, but overall with everything, I got to go with the Dolphins slightly over the Ravens offense. On the defensive side, I'm going all the way with the Ravens. The defense looked good last week. Now, granted, they played the Jets, held them to 9 points, I believe, or something like that. So, they didn't really, as far as passing, I thought they would be a lot better passing defense. They gave up over 300 yards, I believe, to former Raven Joe Flacco. But they did keep them out of the end zone for the most part. So their defense is solid. Defense is actually better than solid. But the Dolphins defenses, I mean, they have a really good defense as well. They forced 3 turnovers, had a pick 6 against the Patriots. So the defense is nothing to sneeze at. I just think maybe if they were playing in Miami, I would probably lean Dolphins on this one. But they're playing in Baltimore, and I don't know. I don't think they're going to be able to go in there and win this game, especially with them playing their first home game. The energy is going to be there. The crowd's going to be into it. Lamar is going to be really focused and into the game. So I'm still sticking with that same score, 27-17, Baltimore.
All right, Corey, Vikings.
Corey just went, actually. Oh, no, Mo didn't even go.
Hey, hit me.
Oh, Mo, my bad.
Respectful, man.
No,
Yeah.
I'm saying Corey was next over the Vikings. All right, go ahead. No offense, Mo, man. Go ahead, man.
All right. So Miami and Baltimore. Coaches, of course, Harbaugh. Let's just keep this short. Offense. I'm doing this strictly off of it's gut punch time. It's time to let them hang. I'm gonna go Miami. I'm gonna go Miami just strictly off of the receivers and just it's time to let them hang. It's time to see what you got. I think defensively, I'll go Baltimore on defense.
Yeah.
Game wise, I hate to go against Baltimore, but I'm gonna stick with some of the themes I've kind of talked about on a lot of podcasts we do, and every time I'm on here, I like to call teams out on when you gonna let them, when you gonna let them hang, when you gonna show up. So I think Tua, this is one of them games for Tua right here, where if you worth it to stay in Miami, we done gave you this talent. You can't say you don't have talent no more. Can't say we didn't give you no pieces. What you gonna do with it? I'm gonna say Miami in a very good game. I'm gonna say Miami 27-20.
Oh, okay. Miami. Okay. So you're close to 27-17, 27-17, 27-20 at 24, 21. Okay. That's good. Hopefully J.K. Dobbins can play. But anyway, Vikings versus Eagles. Corey, who you got?
All right. Coaching, I guess, goes to Sirianni by default because he's not a rookie head coach.
Yeah.
Great analysis there, I know.
Yeah.
Offensively, I know Minnesota has Justin Jefferson, who just went off on the Vikings. By the end of the season, he may very well be unquestionably the best wide receiver in the NFL.
Okay.
AJ Brown showed up last week too.
Mm-hmm.
I think Thielen is probably on more the back end of his career. I think Devonte Smith is a much better wide receiver too than Thielen at this stage in their careers. I think Philly has the better tight end. And Minnesota has the better running back, but I think with the unit on a whole, I would give the slight edge to Philadelphia.
Ooh, okay. Okay.
Defensively, I mean, on paper, I would say Philadelphia. They got better all three levels of that defense. They added talent. But in practice, Minnesota's defense looked really good this past week. They look sharper. I'm gonna lean Minnesota defensively.
Okay.
Overall, I think it'll be a really fun game. It's going to, I think, a first real test for Jalen Hurts to see how he has really progressed as a quarterback this year, and I think he's going to have to get more than AJ Brown involved. And I don't really have a great reason for doing it, but I think Philly edges out this game. And I'm gonna say Philadelphia 31-28.
Ooh. All right. Craig. Vikings versus Eagles. Who you got?
All right. Well, as far as coaching wise goes, I mean, I'm going with Sirianni just because he was there a little bit longer, and obviously led his team to the playoffs last year, so it's got to count for something. On the offensive side, this is tough because you got Kirk Cousins, who's a really good quarterback, above average quarterback. The wide receivers, especially with Justin Jefferson, and then you have Dalvin Cook. But on the Eagles side, they finally, I know he didn't get a lot of touches, and I've been like high on Miles Sanders for a while, but when he gets touches, he didn't get a lot of touches last week, but he made the most of them, and he got a rushing touchdown. He didn't have a rushing touchdown all of last season, so I thought that is like foreshadowing to what I think is going to be a good season for him if he can stay healthy. And Jalen Hurts played, he played good. He played well. Devonte Smith didn't do anything, but I kind of expect that to change throughout the rest of the season. Kind of like, Adam Thielen didn't do anything in the first game, but I kind of expect that to change throughout the rest of the season as well. Yeah. Corey mentioned the tight end, like Goddard is a better tight end than Irv Smith. So I'm slightly going with the Eagles. Like I know that they had the better running back, they had the better wide receiver, but I just think the Eagles have a better offensive line, better tight end. I think the running backs, with Dalvin Cook not producing like he has been in recent years, I'm going with the Eagles slightly. Defensive side, I'm going with, just based off of how they played in week one. And I know that Aaron Rodgers doesn't have any wide receivers, and the offense just was stagnant. But I think that Minnesota's defense really did a phenomenal job in shutting down the offense of the Packers. Now maybe in a couple of weeks when they play again, it might change, but I thought the offense looked pretty good versus I know some garbage late, like not garbage, but like later they had the game pretty much sewn up and they gave up 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, but the Eagles defense, could have been a lot better. I thought they were I picked them in fantasy but I also thought they were going to lose that game. So I just thought the defense is going to play better overall. Maybe they'll get going in this game, but I'm going with the Vikings. Now, I did pick the Eagles to lose last week and then to reverse that and then win the following week against the Vikings.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You did pick them.
I thought they were going to lose to the Lions, honestly.
They almost did.
I know, right? But I'm going with the Eagles. I think they'll be able to pull it out. I think Jalen Hurts makes some plays with his legs. I think the defense maybe gets like a pick here and there off of Cousins. And I think they'll be able to win the game. I got them winning 27-24.
All right, Mo.
All right. Philly versus the Vikings. Coach, we'll go ahead and go with Philly coach Sirianni. We'll go ahead and go with him just off of him being the more seasoned coach. Offense. Ooh. I'm gonna go with the Vikings. Overall, and I'm doing this strictly off a quarterback. I'm going this strictly off a quarterback. No respect to Jalen Hurts, but I'm going off a quarterback. I think outside of Jordan Jefferson, I think the receivers are kind of even. Running game is kind of even. Cook's been kind of declining.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't look good week 1, but I'll still go Minnesota off of Kirk Cousins being better than Hurts. Defensively, I'm gonna go with Philly. I'm gonna stay consistent. If I'm gonna stay Miami with his gut punch time, it's time to let him hang. I think with Philly, it's time to let it hang. You see Dak out. If you're gonna take this division, if you're gonna show that you're for real, these are the type games in the prime time that you have to win. So I'm gonna say Philly in a very close game, a very physical game. I'm gonna say Philly. This might shock y'all, but I'm gonna say Philly 20-17.
Man, low scoring. Okay, coaches. I got to give it to Nick Sirianni. I mean, his team made the playoffs last year. You know, that's got to count for some. First year head coach making the playoffs is pretty big. So I think he has it. Now next year it'll be a difference because Kevin O'Connell will have experience and he might go to the playoffs too. So, we'll see next year if they match up how that discussion goes. Offense. This is good, man. I mean, I gotta go with Minnesota's offense, man. They got Dalvin Cook. You got Justin Jefferson. Right now, he said he wanted to be best receiver in the NFL, and he's making a case in point. And then, they have Adam Thielen, Irv Smith. I just think your offense is better, and I think Kirk Cousins is a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts. Come on, guys. I've said it multiple times. You know how I feel about Jalen Hurts. It is what it is. That's just how I feel. So I think that, I think that he'll be. I think the offense is better. Is it that much better? Corey, you're right. Devonte Smith needs to get involved more, which is very surprising he's not. But, Hurts needs to divide the ball around, and that could be his weakness or inexperience. But we'll see. Defense. Philly has a good defense, but that Minnesota defense looked good, but it was against Green Bay. Green Bay is going to hit you with the relax, which is fair. This is defenses. I'm going to give it to Eagles. I think they overall have a better defense than Minnesota, so I'm going to have to go with them. The game, I think this is going to be a really good game. But I just don't know what the Eagles are going to do with Justin Jefferson. I think O'Connell's going to dial up a good game plan. I do think the Eagles are going to have a really good record this season. I just don't have them beating the Vikings. I think the Vikings, this is going to be a really good game. I wish we could see this game later in the season. Like around week 8 or 9, I think that would be really good. This would mean, seeding implications and, conference standings and stuff like that. But I'm gonna go Minnesota. I'm not gonna go as low scoring as Mo did. So I have the Vikings 28. And Philadelphia 20. That's my score. All right, Craig. This is the one you wanted to do.
Oh, the Chargers and the Chiefs. Okay.
Chargers and the Chiefs.
Well, coaching wise, I don't really need to go into it. Coach, not even close. especially after what Staley did last year towards the end of the season. But on the offensive side, I got to go with the Chiefs. I wouldn't have said this before this game if the Chiefs didn't look as good as they looked last week, and the Chargers didn't have injuries, especially with Keenan Allen being out. So that's going to really hurt them. Austin Eckler didn't look too good last week. I expect him to be better. Mike Williams, his chance to step up and be that number one receiver. Justin Herbert is still really good. Obviously, I'm not going to knock him. I've been high on him for a while. The offensive line looks really good as well. I like Slater, obviously. The Chiefs, I thought they looked amazing last week. I thought they were going to win big last week, but I didn't know they were going to look that good last week. Juju Smith-Schuster looked really good. Obviously, Kelsey. CEH finally looked good.
Yeah.
And obviously, Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. So I'm going with the Chiefs offense. On the defense, though, I'm going with the Chargers. I think the Chargers, with the upgrades that they made, their defense is going to be really, really good this year. The Chiefs, I'm not high on the Cardinals at all. So I didn't expect them to do anything. And it showed late garbage touchdowns towards the last in the fourth quarter. And that's just garbage stats. But overall, I'm going with the Chargers defense. I last year's both games were 6-point games. One went to overtime, and they split both matchups. I really thought I had the Chargers actually winning the first 8 games of the season. I don't know if I kind of do that right now. I'm going to lean towards the Chiefs. I think it's going to be another good matchup, probably another high-scoring game. So I'm going with the Chiefs, 35-31.
Oh, that's gonna be that's a good one. I think I think you're right. All right, Mel. Chiefs versus Chargers.
Coaching. Let's just stop it. Ain't no need to even do that. Andy Reid. Offense. Oh boy. Offense. It's all right. So not to be funny, if Keenan Allen was playing, I might have went Chargers in this one. But because he's not playing, I'm going to go Kansas City.
Okay.
I'm going to go Kansas City offensively. Defensively, I'm going to take the Chargers. I think overall talent, overall, I'm going to take the Chargers. Once again, I'm going to stay consistent with what I'm saying, what I've been saying all show. It's gut punch time.
Yeah.
It's gut punch time for Herbert. It's gut punch time for this coach. And I think what we was talking about earlier, it might not be said publicly, and Herbert might not say this publicly, but if you're going to request the type of money that we said Herbert is going to possibly request, these are the type games you have to win to boost the resume. So I'm going to say Herbert and the Chargers win this one. I'm going to say they win this one. Man. Oh, I know it's going to shock y'all, but I think because of their defense, they might expose now some of the holes with the receivers. I'm going to say 30-20. I think Chargers is going to win the game 30-20.
Wow. Okay. Who you got? This is a big game. Both games were lit last year. I think this is. Come on, Craig. I said it correctly. Right. So look, I think both games. Listen, the coaching, you got to go Andy Reid. They didn't make the playoffs last year because of the bad coaching by Brandon Staley. So we're gonna give Andy Reid this one. Offense, because of their week 1 showing, I got to give it to the Chiefs. Listen, Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes, and you know what's funny is that he might have a better year this year because he's not focused on Tyreek Hill. And if he spreads the ball around like he just did, that's gonna be crazy, yo. Last year he had a down year, and he threw 37 touchdowns, 4,800 yards. This year, he's probably going to eclipse that because I just think that he's going to spread the ball around more. And then that's just going to make Kelsey catch the ball. Like, you just can't in this offense. You can't just focus on Kelsey, or he's going to throw 5 touchdowns, and Kelsey's still going to get one, right? So offense, I got to go to them, to the Chiefs. Defense, Kansas City Chiefs defense played good. I was shocked. I'm gonna be honest with you. I was shocked. The Cardinals came out like that. You know, D-Hop doesn't make that much of a difference in your offensive scheming. Maybe he does.
Maybe Christian Kirk does.
Maybe Christian Kirk does. You know, but Marquise Brown and Rondell Moore were not getting it. AJ Green, we were shocked because we picked the game. Like, looking at that, Chiefs versus Cardinals, I'm like, okay, this is going to be a nice blowout. But no, Chiefs defense stepped up. But I think the Chargers defense overall better against the Raiders. Every aspect of the field, they're better. And I think the Chargers defense is a lot better. And they got a chance to be top 5 defense in the NFL this year. Overall, I think this is gonna be a really close, high-scoring game. I think it's perfect on Thursday night. I don't think it's gonna be like how the Buffalo and Rams. I think it's gonna be everybody's expectations and more. Because both of the games last year. But in this case, I have the Chiefs winning only because Keenan Allen is hurt. But I have the Chiefs winning 35-28. All right, Corey.
Yeah, I'll carry on the theme. Coaching, Andy Reid. Offensively, a week ago, I would have been right there and like, oh, obviously it's the Chargers because yes, Chiefs have Mahomes, but you have Allen, Williams, Eckler, etc. Allen missing the game obviously is a huge deal. One of the most reliable receivers the last 7-8 years, however long it's been that he's been playing. I know Juju looked good, Kelsey looked good. I still think Kansas City is going to need somebody else to consistently step up. They don't, none of the other receivers on their roster have ever done that. You've got some young guys. MVS has been all over the place as a player, so they're going to need somebody to step up against a really good defense, though. So, but top end talent, I'm going to lean Kansas City in this game.
Okay.
Defensively, I don't think it's close. The Chargers have on paper an insanely good defense. Khalil Mack looked fantastic opposite of Bosa week 1. I am very interested to see how the Kansas City offensive line will hold up against the Chargers. And I know JC Jackson looks like he may not play again, but still, I think the Chargers defense is much better. Overall, I kept coming back to wondering, was week 1 a fluke for Kansas City? Like, I know it's Patrick Mahomes, probably the best quarterback in the game right now. Is it him, Josh Allen, take your pick, whatever. But they lost their number 1 wide receiver. Juju, I don't think is a number 1 guy. Like,
no,
I think he is best suited as a number 2 possession guy, opposite of a number 1. And coming off the short week, big time division game, I think the Chargers can win this. Now, if this game was happening week 17, I'd probably take Kansas City, but it's early in the season still. And I think the gap for the Chargers defense versus Kansas City's weapons
Yeah.
is bigger than the gap between the Chargers weapons and the Kansas City defense. I think the Chargers win it. And I'll go Chargers 27-24.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good
We
one.
should probably also not forget Harrison Butker already ruled out for Kansas City as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the kicker. Yeah.
Kicking matters.